Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Tonight taking a look at Poe Dameron and BB-8. These are the figures from the Star Wars Resistance cartoon, so let's head to that table and check these out. And looking at the packaging, this is that new Resistance line. Get you the swooshes of blue and gold in the background. Off on the right side you see the animated look of the characters, and in this case being Poe Dameron and BB-8. And through the blister, of course, you see the two included figures. On the back side, there's not much different happening here. The top half still showing off the animated look of Poe Dameron and BB-8, and then off on the left side is your brief description about them from the show. And just below that to the right side, you got an image of the other two pack that's also available. In this case, it's just showing you the characters and not the actual toy. And of course, the rest is all just legal information. And now looking at the figures out of the packaging, starting first with Poe Dameron. Overall, this is a great looking figure. Obviously, they're sculpting this line in the animated look. The head sculpt does look exactly as he appears in the show. Pretty decent expression on him. I mean, he looks rather happy. The way the hair is done, it does look nice, but although for my figure, just, I don't know, not the best painting of the brown, especially on the his left side of the face, your screen right. Kind of stopped a little bit too short there. The eyes, the eyes are painted kind of large here. Kind of looks like he saw a ghost or something. So I think that could have been dialed back a little bit. But otherwise, I mean, it's still pretty decent looking. And then he also does come with a removable helmet. I know it's an accessory, but in this case, since it just slides right over his head, go ahead and take a look at that now. I like that they're still doing that translucent plastic for the visor. Nice yellow tint to it. And actually the whole helmet, same as Jaeger, is sculpted in this yellow plastic. And they painted the white on, they painted the blue on. So the helmet, I think, is looking really good. I like the little microphone sticking out with a touch of silver on the end of it. And then obviously, as you see, I mean, it fits nicely over his head. Pretty good scale to it. It's not overly large. As for the midsection of the figure, and well, pretty much the rest of him, I mean, he is in his X-Wing flight gear. So overall, he's got that orange jumpsuit on. Same as the Jaeger figure that I just looked at. All the little wrinkles and folds of the fabric are very subtle in the figure, which I'm quite alright with. It's still, it still looks fine, still looks like, there's still a little bit of life in the fabric or something. You get the ribbing down the shoulders that you're used to seeing for the flight suit, some seams running down in front of the stomach, and then, obviously he's got his white flight vest on. Pretty decent sculpting for that. Rebel symbols painted on nicely, and you even got some detailing in there for the chest box. That gray painting is surprisingly staying pretty much within the lines there. A little touch of a blue dot off on the side. Through the waist, you see they've sculpted a belt on him. Pretty good paint job to that also. Nice little silver buckle detail. And for the most part, the gray of that belt is looking pretty good. And then through the legs, you got some pocket detailing on each side of the legs. Once again, some subtle wrinkles in there. Couple gray bands running around his thigh. Pretty decent sculpting and painting to that. Gotta say, I'm quite surprised at how well the tubes on his left leg looks. The fact that paint isn't just splattered all over is kind of surprising to me. And of course you get down to the feet where he's got his sculpted shoes, black paint. It's all looking good. It's a pretty solid release for a basic 5-point figure. As for articulation, things are pretty basic. Head's on a ball joint, so you get your swiveling. Really nothing side to side, and really nothing forward and back or up and down. Both arms are going to rotate, and your legs come out 90 degrees nice and straight, and even go all the way back. As for the weapon he comes with, it is just a single blaster, as it should be. Pretty good looking sculpt to it. I think it pretty much looks as it does in the show. I don't think the weapon is as bright and silver metallic as it is here, but I gotta say, I actually like the looks of it. I like the painting that's done here. I don't know, very nice, very reflective. It's kind of cool looking. Aside from that though, obviously no other special painting or anything to it. Fits well in either hand, whatever. If you want them to be right hand, left hand, it doesn't matter. It'll fit in both. And now taking a look at BB-8. First up, if you're looking at this thing on its own and you're holding it in your hand, you're like, is this thing smaller? The answer is yes. This is definitely a smaller droid than what's been released before. Obviously, they're doing this line in the animated form, and really the only difference in the animation compared to what they do in the movies is BB-8's head is actually a little bit larger over his body, and while that certainly fits here, they just made a really small action figure. Here he is lined up from his previous release. This one in particular is from Force Awakens multi-pack, so obviously he's shrunk down quite a bit. Sitting next to Bucket from the Resistance show, I think he's a little bit smaller still than he needs to be. I can't remember for certain, but I do feel like he's a little bit taller against Bucket. That aside though, what they did give us here still has a very nice sculpt to it. Obviously still certainly looks exactly like you'd expect BB-8 to look like, with the white body and orange and silver accents. You get some little subtle lines for panels and stuff sculpted in. Not as much as you get with the we'll call it the real world figure. But as I've said already, I'm quite fine with that. This is in line with the animated look. Black eye ports looking pretty good. The silver painting on the top of the head's looking good. Little antenna sticking out. That's not, you're not doing anything with that. That's sculpted right into place or glued in there. One thing I will say about it is it's a little hard to find his center of gravity to keep him upright. Once you find the sweet spot, he pretty much stays in place. But he does not have the flat bottom that the previous releases had. They're just kind of relying on these little bumps and stuff to kind of hold them upright. As for BB-8's articulation, you're able to swivel the head all the way around. And then you got a little bit of range to go up and down, side to side. So really just kind of rotate it in a circle. So the articulation's pretty much what you would expect from this guy. So overall, this is a pretty good looking set. I think they did a really good job with both the figures. Obviously, they're going to fit in quite well with the rest of the figures from the Resistance show, which at this point I only have Jaeger and Bucket. I certainly wish, though, that BB-8 was just a little bit bigger. But I'll have to watch a little bit closer to see if they make him that small in the show. And that wraps up this look at Poe Dameron BB-8 from the Star Wars Resistance cartoon. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on these figures in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.